In today's 14th episode of the Sports and Psychology Podcast, we are talking trade season, baby. It is time for us to talk about mid-season trades, what it's like moving halfway, 3/4 through the season to a different team, what athletes go through emotionally, psychologically, what we need to look out for, and then how to approach starting midway or 3/4 way through a season to starting with a new team. So if you're someone interested in players changing teams, a player that might have this happen to them either mid-season, mid-semester, what have you, changing teams, or you're just a coach, a supporter, a supervisor, or even a parent looking to help your athletes better, then you're right where you want to be. Hello, buenos dias, dobrý den, ohayo gozaimasu. Welcome to the Sports and Psychology Podcast, your weekly Saturday morning pod where we talk all things athletes, tactics, performance, and most importantly, mindset. I am your host, letting them three balls fly, Cord Thomas. Now, I'm a mindset coach specializing in sports psychology, performance, stress, and anxiety reduction, and mental preparation, having helped hundreds of clients and tens of professional athletes exceed their potential, reach their goals, and lead fulfilling lives. After becoming a 2-time Taekwondo Junior Olympic medalist and moving from the US to Europe to study and play basketball, I found my passion in the psychology of success. Before we hop into things, do me a favor, hit that follow button below the video or the pod to get updates on new episodes. And if you're here with me on YouTube, hit me with a like and a comment. Thank you for making the Sports and Psychology Pod your first Saturday morning listen. If you want to reach out and connect with me or join in our mailbag episode, you can find me on Instagram at athlete.m1ndsct, Twitter athlete_m1ndsct, or email me at sportsandpsychologypod@gmail.com. Let's hop into things. Now, I am at work. We're into the first week of February, and we are hitting trade season in the NBA. In a couple other sports as well, and I wanted to do an episode purely on how to deal with moving to a new team mid-season, 3/4 way through the season, how to help a team maybe in their playoff push, more importantly, how as an athlete we can deal with the emotions, the stress, all the external pressure around moving to a new team, not only in terms of performing and how we approach that, we're expected to play like we did in the old team with the new team, even though we don't have the experience with them, etc. But also looking into things like the stress of moving, the social side of things, and maybe our approach, as well as how to deal with kind of the reality of leaving our old team. So, with that being said, we're going to hop right in. To me, I like to look at things very logically, so we're going to start from the backside to the front side. I know that we don't always process things that way, but that's okay. So we're going to start with how to work with leaving our previous team. In terms of emotions, we aren't going to get away from feeling disowned a little bit, feeling some sort of loss, because we are not necessarily losing those relationships, but we're now being separated from people that we've spent months, maybe years with in terms of teammates, coaches. So if we're being traded away by a team, or if we're leaving our old team, our old school to join a new school mid-season, we are going to feel a sense of loss, and it will take time to kind of process that, and that's okay. Other feelings, there might be a feeling of being given up on, which is never a nice feeling. There might also be a feeling of disgust or hate or anger or hurt towards that former team, which is understandable. If we planned our lives, if we planned our future around finding success with a certain team, or that vision for ourselves was to have one team take us from point A to point B and reach our goals, and that team is now sending us somewhere else so that whatever management thinks they can get better that way, or they're giving up on us and having us try and find a new team, that hurts and is painful. And it's okay to have those feelings towards the previous team. I think in sports, everyone has their job. Now, growing up, within sports, especially if we're top level athletes, we've experienced, most of us, that we succeed, right? That the team needs us, and there's never a question of whether a team wants us. It's a question of which team wants us the most, right? And so at a professional level, if we're experiencing, or even at a university level, right? If we're experiencing, this team doesn't want me enough that they wouldn't trade me for another player, or that the money they're putting into me isn't worth it, or that they feel like I'm not the best fit for them. It's really important to remember our role. Our role as an athlete is to go out and, no matter what team we're with, play our best, do our best to help our team win, and ideally grow and stay healthy, right? We're going to try and get better. We're going to try and keep our bodies, our minds right, and go in with a positive attitude every day, saying, whatever team I'm with, I'm going to take this team as far as I can. That's difficult if we match our goals to a certain club. That's difficult if we're traded away mid-season, to keep that high spirit, to keep that positive attitude. That being said, our role as an athlete is to go out and do our job the best we can. It is management's job to decide which, assuming the management structure of the team is similar to a professional club, there's going to be a manager or a sports director or someone deciding which players are actually on the team. And then there's going to be a coach who decides which players actually play. I can impress my coaches, I can impress managers, and I can still be traded. It's not always clearly that way. The fact that a team trades a player doesn't mean they're necessarily giving up on me. I think we also need to reflect, or we need to accept the fact that a lot of times a trade or being moved for something in return is a sign of our value as well, right? A, it probably wasn't the easiest choice to make. B, especially if I'm being traded, I have to have value to be traded. Now, who knows what the return is, and it really depends on how management sees the goals for the team, the vision for the team, the plan for the future. And that probably depends on the success of the team going into trade season. But I, as an athlete, have to accept that if I've been playing well, my value goes up. If I've over or outplayed my contract, my value has gone up. So the return on what the team can get for me is higher. So if I'm being traded, if that's how it goes, then I should be looking at that as well as a pat on the back, as well as emotionally, yes, it sucks. Yes, it hurts. I wasn't untradeable, but at the same time, I was valuable in comparison to my contract. There are a few more emotions, a few more processes towards the former team that I'd like to discuss. One of them is gratitude. Not always do we fit in as an athlete into a given team. Not always are we a good fit. Not always are we as athletes in the right situation to help us grow, to help us be our best. Anytime we're moved or we choose to move to a new team, our old team that is giving us the freedom to do that is giving us a new opportunity for growth, a new opportunity to experience new things, and a new opportunity to thrive. Especially if the old team isn't doing as well as they expected to. Moving on from myself or someone else from the team can be a really difficult thing, but something that, at least for me as a player, I should accept as a level of gratitude and a level of opportunity as well, and be thankful that they didn't keep me in maybe a situation where I wasn't thriving to my fullest. And if I was, then there should be a level of gratitude for giving me that opportunity and now letting me explore even more in a different situation, and maybe to grow even more. I think a great example of that was Jeremy Grant, who went from OKC, where he showed that he had some talent, to then being traded to the Denver Nuggets, where he had a great year getting into the playoffs with Nikola Jokic and really fitting into a role well. Now, he was offered an extension by the Nuggets, and he chose to leave for the Detroit Pistons to really explore his level of growth, to really explore what kind of player he could be in the league and if he could lead a team by himself. I think somewhat he proved that he could be a number one, number two player. I think fit-wise, he probably learned that he's more of a number two than a number one. In any case, he took that opportunity of moving as one of opportunity as a space to let himself grow. I think that's a really great mindset setup. Not for everyone always, but if we're being traded, especially mid-season, there's a level of opportunity there. In terms of tactics or techniques or an ability to move on from your old team, most importantly to me is future, to focus as much as we can on a new vision, on a new set of goals, on a new setup, which we will get to in the second and third segments. But also, I would really highly suggest doing this for yourself, which is as you leave an old team, and if you're really having heavy or strong feelings towards that old team, towards some of the players, the coaches, the management, etc., sit down, pen, paper, and write them a letter. You don't have to show it to anyone. You don't have to read it again once it's written. But do yourself a favor and write what it is you're feeling. Write it into a letter. All your different emotions. Get it out of you so that you're able to process a bit and you're able to really go through those emotions without trying to tamp it down, without trying to swallow it and keep it inside. So let it flow out of you, get it out, pen and paper, and if you want to, burn it, for all I care, right? But it's a great technique to really process what it is that you're going to and get through it quicker so that you can move on to the positive side and move on to looking at the future and stop analyzing what had happened in the past and why it is you're getting traded or being given up on or whatever words you would like to use. Good. So here in the first segment, we have gone over some of the emotions, some of the feelings towards our old team, a technique to deal and get through those emotions maybe as fast as possible, close it off and move on. In the second segment, we're going to move on to dealing with the stuff around moving, around the things outside of the sport that really kind of weigh on athletes, on all of us whenever we transfer teams. And some tactics and techniques towards really organizing these things as quickly as possible so that we set ourselves up for success, even mid-season, or I should say especially mid-season, to get ourselves up and going as soon as possible. So stick with me here and we'll be right back. It's time to talk about organization. Moving into the new year, I think a lot of us, especially after Christmas, January tends to be a bit awkward, a bit lazy. We're really heading into that point in our year where we're doing our best to set up our routines and really find organization and routines. My question for you here today, and will be in the poll on Spotify, what is the most important part of your routine to have a successful day? I think for me, one of the most important things to remember is that our evening routines set us up for success for our morning routines. So the more we can pay attention to getting ourselves ready for the next day in the evening, the better we are set up for a successful day the next day. So do yourself a favor, take a look at how you're setting up your days in the evening before, and maybe put a little space, add a little effort into your daily setup in the evening before, and I can guarantee that you'll have smoother mornings and be able to stick to your morning routines better. We are back, and here in the second segment, we are talking everything and anything related to trades and what athletes go through outside of just a new team in their sport. So the first thing that comes to mind when it comes to changing teams, for most professional athletes, that means changing cities. That means moving. There are a ton of complications when it comes to moving. We're talking about leaving families. We're talking about leaving support systems. We're talking about probably changing trainers, getting to know an entire new staff for the sport. We are talking about finding even new schools if our families are coming with us. Otherwise, we're probably talking about living in a hotel for a while, finding a new place to live, depending on, again, how long our contract is with the team. If it's just an end of a season, we're probably talking about spending 3-4 months in a hotel. It's rough. So not only that, but then we're talking about travel with the team. We're talking about finding out where the team is, when we can practice, new set of plays. There are a lot of things involved in a trade mid-season, especially ramping up to a playoff push. For me, with my athletes, the toughest and most difficult piece to work through is the piece around family. It's knowing that, okay, I've been moved, my family's living here. I'm not probably going to unroot my family from where they've kind of taken root for the last year, 2 years, multiple years, months, what have you. I'm not going to uproot them and move them to a different school, different workplace, etc. So assuming that the family stays and I go, that is difficult because now I'm saying, okay, I'm somehow removing my physical support system that's been with me. One of the most basic things that an athlete can do when going through a move like this is to really set up a schedule and set up rules in terms of contact. Timing when we're going to talk. Knowing morning, evening, we call before we go to bed when we're going to talk, so that there's at least a guarantee of when I'm going to have that contact with my support system. And probably there should also be a discussion around the fact that it's going to be difficult for a while and that I might not be the happiest person in the new place going through all these changes. And that it's going to be difficult, not only for me, but for everyone in my life, because I'm being uprooted and that stability that I was bringing as well is now being uprooted for them. So there's going to be stress on all sides, not only from my side. And yeah, my family is probably going to have a difficult time as well. So first things first for me, set up a social schedule. Set up times, availabilities when you're going to talk to family, when you're going to talk to friends, so that you have, as an athlete, that stability of at least knowing when those contact points are going to happen. You don't have to worry, oh, it's been 2 days and no one's called me, or I haven't heard from my parents in weeks because of all the craziness, etc. It's in your schedule. And that's something to prioritize in terms of self-sustainment, in terms of mental health, to really make sure that you're maintaining the good relationships with your family members. Family and friends, your supporters. To me, I think the next most important thing to deal with is the living situation and setting up new routines, or more getting back into your old routines as quick as possible. As an athlete, you are used to a schedule. You're used to coming in and having a guaranteed workout, training, gym, workout, breakfast, gym, lunch, practice, dinner, or dinner, game, nap, etc., sleeping. When we move cities, part of that stability that's lost is the routine, because athletes think that they have to work to set up these things. To me, I would ideally communicate my current routine, my current schedule that I'm used to having with the new team as soon as possible, and stick to it as much as humanly possible. Try not to change what you're used to. Try and stick to the routines that you know, and make small tweaks instead of trying to set up a completely new routine with the new team and be completely flexible to what they are used to their needs. The same thing goes for morning and evening routines. If you have one set up at home, why should that change even though you're not at home? Try and continue to wake up at the same times. Try and continue to get through your morning routine and prep for the next day, wind down in the evening the same way as you have been. And you're going to give yourself as much of a level of comfort and a level of balance in your life as possible in a time that's really, really rocky. So going into it with bringing your own stability is really going to be helpful in stabilizing through those changes of trades. and of changing teams and of new social scenarios, etc. So you bring your own peace, you bring your own strength into the situation. It is time for me to talk about my services. And this week, instead of talking about my coaching services, we're going to talk about my brand new workshop launched this week. And you can get in at early bird prices if you're a listener and here with me in Prague, Czech Republic. I'm going to be doing a workshop at the YMCA Palace here in Prague, and that's going to be March 14th from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. And we are going to be covering planning and motivation for non-planners and creators of chaos. So if you're someone like me naturally who, throws their things down and it's the best thing possible because we saw where we put it down and we're going to look around and find it, you're going to want to join. If you're someone like me who tends to prefer agility, who tends to prefer changing plans last minute, doing things when they feel like it instead of setting a clear date, time, and plan, then you're going to want to join this. I'm going to give you tactics and techniques to really set up your life in a way that you still feel that ability to choose, but you know that you're guaranteed to every single day move towards your goals. We will cover self-talk and mindset, creating motivation and understanding our long-term goals and needs over our short-term feelings. Tactics for planning for non-planners. Clear, tried and tested templates for planning that guarantees us a feeling of choice, lightness, and no pressure, while sticking to accomplishing our goals every day. And then working with our thoughts and emotions. Motivation is an emotion. So is laziness, lack of desire, fear of effort, etc. Working with our thoughts and emotions positively is the long-term key to gaining control over our lives. Now, capacity is very limited. So if you're in Prague and you want to get in on this workshop, there are only 15 spots for you. Right now we're at early bird pricing, meaning very cheap. After the 21st of Feb, it is going to get more expensive, so hop in now. You can send in your registration at coachingpraha.com. That's coachingpraha.com/workshop-registration. So that again is coachingpraha.com/workshop-registration. And we really are going to be doing an intimate workshop on planning for you non-planners, for you chaos creators. And I'm going to help you gain that control back in your life. Feel like you're ready to move forward and do it in an honorable, respectful, organized way, but without you feeling the pressure of having your hands locked into handcuffs, into the pressure, into the depths of I have to do everything that I've set up. So if you're interested, make sure to get in early. You'll get a discount. Otherwise, prices will go up. Again, that is March 14th from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. For those of you listening here in Prague, Czech Republic, looking forward to seeing you there. Would love to meet you in person. Come say hi. It's going to be a great event. See you there. All right. I hope you had a great time here with me discussing trades, basically discussing player movement mid-season towards the end of season. If you have other ideas, comments, want to hop on the pod with me as a guest, or just completely disagree with me, make sure you send me an email at sportsandpsychologypod@gmail.com and I will definitely respond. I think it's great to know that if we have a plan and if we have coping mechanisms already worked through to start with, we are really able to become our own rocks. We're really able to become our own stabilizers and move into situations knowing that we will not only survive, we will thrive. And it might take time, but we know we will get there. And we're not being thrown off by different emotions, by different moods, by things that are unpleasant. So know that if you do get traded, if you do get asked to change companies, if you are moving schools, you now have a podcast to go back to. You know how to handle it. Thank you for listening or watching here on YouTube to the Sports and Psychology Podcast. Please tell your friends if you like this pod. I am streaming every Saturday morning everywhere you can find podcasts, as well as on YouTube. If you want to get your questions into a mailbag or give me your thoughts, give me a comment below on YouTube or reach out on Instagram at athlete.m1ndset, Twitter, athletem1ndset, or email at sportsandpsychologypod@gmail.com. Do me a favor and hit that like and subscribe button, and make sure to leave that 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. And in the words of Portland Trailblazers rookie Jabari Walker, don't let today get the best of you, get the best of today. Have a great weekend, everyone. Talk to you next week.